have reached the Wonder Dome, secret fortress of Wonder Woman. Judy speaking. No, sorry, Superman isn't here. This is the Wonder Dome. I can transfer you to the Hall of Justice if you'd like. They should be able to help you there. You're welcome. Have a good day. Good morning. I'm so glad you're back. You wouldn't believe how many calls I get for other superheroes. No, the Flash isn't here. Sorry, Green Lantern isn't here. If you want Batman, you're going to have to speak to Alfred Pennyworth, his butler. Sheesh, it never ends. Oh, excuse me. Oh dear, my allergies are so bad today. Normally I can keep them under control, but working in this environment with all these plants can be challenging. You see, Paradise Island, the tropical island where Wonder Woman comes from, has lots of trees and plants, so having a lot of plants on the Wonder Dome is very important to her. It's pretty amazing working in a secret, invisible airship. Although getting to work is a challenge since the Wonder Dome is invisible from outside. Oh, this is what it looks like when it's not invisible. Pretty cool, eh? This place is huge. You'd think I would have been given a slightly bigger office with all the space around here. But oh well, Wonder Woman is a great boss. I should be so very thankful for all that I have here. Listen, me going on, and that's not why you came here today. No, you came here so I could tell you another Wonder Woman heroic women of the Bible story. These women were true heroes of their time, and we can learn some amazing lessons about being superheroes for God from them. One of the traits that superheroes for God need to have is faithfulness. The heroic woman of the Bible we're going to learn about today was so faithful that she courageously committed to God and to her mother-in-law. Imagine her mother-in-law. Well, today's story takes us to the book of Ruth. You can guess the heroic woman of the Bible, I bet, we're talking about today, right? Correct. We'll be talking about Ruth. Let's take a look at the story in Ruth 1 to 19. There was a time when Israel didn't have kings to rule over them, but they had leaders to help them. This story is about some things that happened during that time. There wasn't enough food in the land of Judah, so a man went to live for a while in the country of Moab. He was from Bethlehem in Judah. His wife and his 2 sons went with him. The man's name was Elimelech, and his wife's name was Naomi. The names of his sons were Mahlon and Chilion. They were Ephrathites, whose home had been in Bethlehem in Judah. They went to Moab and lived there. Naomi's husband Elimelech died, so she was left with her 2 sons. They married women from Moab. One was named Orpah. The other was named Ruth. Naomi's family lived in Moab for about 10 years. Then Mahlon and Chilion also died. So Naomi was left without her 2 sons and her husband. While Naomi was in Moab, she heard that the Lord had helped his people. He had begun to provide food for them again. So Naomi and her 2 daughter-in-laws prepared to go from Moab back to her home. She left the place where she had been living. Her daughter-in-laws went with her. They started out on the road that would take them back to the land of Judah. Naomi said to her 2 daughter-in-laws, "Both of you go back. Each of you go to your own mother's home. You were kind to your husbands who have died. You have also been kind to me. So may the Lord be just as kind to you. May the Lord help each of you find rest in the homes of another husband." Then she kissed them goodbye. They broke down and wept loudly. They said to her, "We'll go back to your people with you." But Naomi said, "Go home, my daughters. Why would you want to come with me? Am I going to have More sons who could become your husbands? Go home, my daughters. I'm too old for another husband. Suppose I thought there was still some hope for me. Suppose I married a man tonight and later had sons by him. Would you wait until they grew up? Would you stay single until you could marry them? No, my daughters, my life is more bitter than yours. The Lord's power has turned against me. When they heard that, they broke down and wept again. Then Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye, but Ruth held on to her. Look, said Naomi, your sister-in-law is going back to her people and her gods. Go back with her. But Ruth replied, don't try to make me leave you and go back. Where you go, I'll go. Where you stay, I'll stay. Your people will be my people. Your God will be my God. Where you die, I'll die. And there my body will be buried. I won't let even death separate you from me. If I do, may the Lord punish me greatly. Naomi realized that Ruth had made her mind to go with her, so she stopped trying to make her go back. The two women continued on their way. At last they arrived in Bethlehem. The whole town was stirred up because of them. The women in the town asked, can this possibly be Naomi? Faithfulness has always been a sign of heroism in superheroes. Superheroes are faithful to their allies, their non-superhero friends, and to the cause of justice. Faithfulness is also the trait of today's heroic woman of the Bible, Ruth. Ruth showed her faithfulness towards Naomi and God. She left everything she ever had known when she left her own home country, Moab, and traveled with Naomi to the land of Judah. Ruth was not a Jew. She was a Moabite. In Judah, the language was different. The food was different. The people dressed differently. They followed the one true God and not the false gods of the Moabites. Not only was everything so very different in the land of Judah, but the Moabites were considered enemies of the people of Judah. Ruth didn't know how she was going to be treated by the Jews. Would the Jewish people reject her or would they accept her? Life was not easy for Jewish women who had lost their husbands in Ruth's time. It was very difficult for them to provide for themselves. But it would have been even harder for a Moabite woman who had lost her husband and was living in Judah. She didn't have to go with Naomi. She could have stayed in Moab like Orpah, her sister-in-law, but she chose to do this because she was courageously committed to Naomi and to following her God, the one true God. Because of Ruth's faithfulness, God later blessed her with a new husband and a new family, one that would provide for her and Naomi. God wants us to have a faithful heart like Ruth. He wants us to stay true to him and to the people we love, even when it's hard. When we are faithful, God will bless us for that faithfulness, and he will make us a blessing to others. Even the best of friends and families go through hard times. But if we are faithful to each other, we will work through those problems. We'll stay true to our friends. And we'll stick to the people we love, just as Ruth did. And God will bless us. God wants us all to have faithful hearts. Heroes are faithful to God and to others. When we show this kind of faithfulness to others, we show God's love to them. He wants us to be a blessing to others so they will know that they are loved by him. And more than anything, God wants us to be faithful to him. I think it's time to say our big idea together. Say this with me. Heroes are faithful to God and others. Well, thanks for joining me again today for another Wonder Women of the Bible story. Come back next week for a story about a woman who was a real warrior. A prayer warrior, that is. This is Judy saying bye for now. Hello, you have reached the Wonder Dome, Secret Fortress of Wonder Woman. Judy speaking. No, you can't reach Aquaman at this number. Let me transfer you to the Hall of Justice.